Good morning, everybody. I'm Tophan and I'm going to take you through mathematics paper 1. Now we are going to begin with a topic of quadratic equations. Now when we talk of quadratic equations, these are equations with a component of a square. So for that case, for these equations, for you to have this equation, it must be in form of ax squared plus bx plus c, which is equal to 0. So some of these equations which you come across like this one, these are called quadratic equation. So that is the thing which you're going to look about. So to begin with, we are going to begin with how it is got, like when they give you points. So how can you get that quadratic equation? Take an example. If they had given us a point, like they say x equals alpha, we are considering alpha and beta as our values of x, then x is alpha, also when they say x is beta. So for this case, we have to first get points, first so that we can continue. We are going to express this alpha and beta in terms of x. So what we do, since x is equal to alpha, for that case we shall say x, we bring this alpha the other side, which becomes x minus alpha to be equal to 0. So also what we have done on alpha, we do it also on beta. So this one becomes x minus beta becomes equal to 0. So we have this point and this point. This is all of them are in form of x. Like now we are taking alpha and beta as constants. Now for that case, when we are dealing with this, we are going to first put them in brackets, so that like when we are getting a quadratic equation, we must have the sum of the roots and the product of the roots. So for that case, we are going to take x minus alpha and the x minus beta as our roots. Because when you are getting the quadratic equation, we have said that you must have two roots. Then for that case, when you are getting the quadratic equation, you must have first the sum of roots. Now for this case, to get the sum of roots, you just add up what you have given, the points which you have. Like for that case, we have x minus alpha and x minus beta. So what for that case we are going to say sum of roots, it will be x minus alpha, then plus x minus beta. So this is what we have for this case. So to get the quadratic equation, we said we must have the sum of roots and the product of roots. So we are getting now the sum of roots. So we are going to add. Now it will be this one plus this, then again this one plus this. So for this case it will be this plus this, which will give us 2x, then this one and this will give us minus x, it is minus alpha, then minus beta. So for this case, that will be our sum of roots. So when they have given us something like this, so for that case, after getting the sum of roots, you have to get the product of roots. When you are getting the product of roots, we just get these two roots, then we multiply them. So for that case, it will be x minus alpha, then times x minus beta. So by doing this, we are getting now the product of roots. So after getting the product of roots, you have to get now the general quadratic equation, of which the general quadratic equation you got from, you get the value of x squared, assuming you are using the quadratic equation is in a component of x. You get the value of x squared, then plus, here we add in the sum. We subtract in the sum of roots, which is times x, because we said it is ax, of which our here a must be not not equal to 0. We are saying a value must not be equal to 0. So that means it must start from 1 and until you reach on infinity. So for that case, it must not be 0 to have a quadratic equation. So we said we get the x squared, then minus the sum of roots, then this side plus it, the product of roots, so must give us 0. So this is what we call a quadratic equation. So when we are getting a quadratic equation, we have to use this formula. You get the sum, the product, then substitute in this formula, you have your quadratic equation. Now, to not waste time, we are going to begin with the examples dealing with the quadratic equation if they have given you the points. So, when you have something like that, so we have something like this. They are saying that the example that form quadratic equations for the following points. So they have given us this point, they want us to form a quadratic equation. We say, number A, they are saying that it is A, B. AB is our coordinate. It is in form of X and Y. So what we do, since this is in form of X and this is Y, we get now the sum of roots. Sum of roots. For that case, it will be this one plus this. So for that case, the sum of roots will be the A, then plus the B. To get the sum of roots, we have this. Now, for this case, after getting the sum of roots, we have to get the product. Product of roots. Now, getting the product of roots, we are just multiplying this one times this. So for this case, it will be A times B, which will give us AB. So that one will be our product of roots. So we say that when you're getting a quadratic equation, we have to get a formula. And we say the formula is x squared minus the sum of roots, then times the value of x. Since we are going to deal with x squared, so plus the product of roots. This one must give us 0. So for this case, after writing this formula, we have substituting the values of the sum and the product. Now for this case, it will be x squared, then minus the sum which is A plus B, x, then plus this side which is AB, which is equal to 0. So that will be our formula. Like now, this one means that the number which is in the middle here, where there is a B, because this is in form of A, x squared plus a bx plus a c equals 0. Now the number which is in the middle, which is a B, this is what we call the sum of roots. From what we have substituted, is called the sum of roots. Like when they give you any equation in a quadratic form, the number which is in the middle, which is a B, is called the sum of roots. And also, the number which is a C, which is on the C side, and here at the start on the x squared, that one is what we call the product, because it's got by multiplying this one and this value of C. So for that case, when you multiply this value of here and here, we find that you get the product of roots. That's why here, if here is 1 and here there is AB, when you multiply the two, we get the AB. So that is what we can talk about that. Now to continue with other examples, continue with other examples. They have given us that example B, which is they are saying is 2 1/4. So this one is also a point. They have given us a point in form of x and y. So we do it as the way we did the other one. We get the sum of roots. So this one, the sum of roots will be the x plus the value of y, which is 2 plus 1/4. So for this case, you continue by getting the LCM. LCM will be equal to 4. Then 4 divided by this, you get that value, which is a 4. Then times 2, which is 8. So continue this side. 4 divided by 4, you get a 1 times a 1, which is plus 1. So for this case, it will be 9 out of 4 as the sum of roots. Now, after getting the sum of roots, we have to get also the product. Now, the product will be of roots. This one will be that it is 2 times 1/4. Now, for this case, we have to reduce by 2 once, by 2, 2. So here we have 1 out of 2 as the product. Then we now have to get the quadratic equation by substituting in the formula. The formula was x squared plus, it is minus sum of roots, then times that value of x, then plus the product of roots. This one gives us a 0. So we substitute in the product and the sum, so it will be x squared minus, here which is 9 out of 4, x, then plus a half equals 0. So when you reach on this step, don't leave your answer like this. You have to get the LCM first, then you multiply through by the LCM. Like now, when we take on these ones, the LCM is 4. So multiply the 4 all through the equation. You multiply this one by 4, you get 4x squared. So this one, when you multiply this one by 4, it will be minus 9x. So multiply this one also by 4, it will be plus 2 equals 0. So now this one will be our equation. If you want to check that the answer is correct, first see, we said that we get the product after multiplying this first one by this. So the product here will be this one times this, which is this times this, which is 8. Which is 8. So also get the sum. The sum will be this 9. But also here we said when we are getting the product and the sum, this one must be with a component of 1. Like what we had the other side. We said that it is x squared plus minus b, which is a plus b, x, then plus ab. So here it must be with a degree of 1 so that you can get the sum and the product. So for this case, you divide by 4 so that here you can make it become with a degree of 1. So for that case, when you are getting the product, it will be now here as x squared minus 9 out of 4x, then plus 2 out of 4, which is equal to 0. So when you are getting the product, you find out the product is a half after dividing by 2. Then also the sum will be equal to 9 out of 4. Because we don't take the negative, this negative shows that it is just part of the formula, because we must put in a negative. So that will be the answer for that. I think we have summarized everything about the forming quadratic equations. We are going to another thing. Thank you.